It's mind-blowing.
Rivian buys this cell, and if you buy it, that means you're paying a profit margin to that supplier. So if Tesla's making their own cell, where does that profit cost go? It's eliminated.
I believe that the Mexican plant is a genius move.
They're building the packs themselves. They're building the seats themselves. They're doing IPs themselves.
You talk to any Harvard guy, any Harvard MBA, and he'll tell you for sure, you got to outsource, outsource, outsource. You know what? That dance is dead. Anybody with a brain should be able to see the difference between, I'm doing this internally, I understand the technology cold. I understand and formulate my own chemistry. I make my cans, I know exactly how many I'm going to be able to make. I don't have to worry about trying to control the market, find out if a ship sunk and all my batteries happen to be in it. Everybody else that's going in this direction, you're buying chemistry from somebody that is giving you a lot of smoke. You're out of your mind. Every boardroom at every suppliers, they're going to be in a panic attack. You can't make anything out of 48 volts. I heard that too. And you know what? Oh, you can't make, these batteries can never be made. Every time somebody opens their mouth and says, that can't happen, Elon shows up with, oh, here, you want to look at that? Well, you know, I don't think that's going to work. And it's always the same. You want to be a naysayer? Go ahead. Go and be a Hindenburg. I don't give a rat's ass. At the end of the day, eventually, you're always going to lose. Always. Because, especially if you're betting against Elon Musk. Don't do it. Don't bet against Elon Musk.
In this video, the man who needs no introduction, Sandy Munro, shares his thoughts on Tesla's Investor Day 2023, including what Tesla's doing right, everything, what the competition is doing wrong, everything, Tesla's incredible vertical integration, the panic attacks no doubt happening in boardrooms around the world, including within automotive companies and their suppliers, and a few words of caution, specifically at the people who think it's an intelligent idea to ever bet against Elon Musk. It's not. Such a bad idea, in fact, that the single best-selling piece of merch in the merch store since launching this channel has been a warning: don't bet against Elon. P.S. If you haven't got your Don't Bet Against Elon merch, check out the merch store, linked below. So let's get into it.
On what we saw on the Investor Day, and I'm going to actually give kind of my first take, is I thought the presentation was extremely technical. And there was a lot of the fine points in there that I think may have gone over the heads of the institutional investors there.
Yeah. That is most definitely an accurate statement.
Tesla currently uses this generation of powertrain on all their vehicles. The Model S Plaid uses this, the Model 3, the Model Y, the Model S, the Model X. It's already, in our opinion, world-class leading in their ability of cost reduction and reuse, and the ability to apply this same powertrain, gear train, inverter strategy on all their different models, whether it's a rear-wheel drive, standard range Model 3, whether you have a front-wheel drive unit that is an induction machine instead of internal permanent magnet, they're still using this architecture. It shows me that they're working on, this would be their fourth generation, because this is third. Because if you go back to the Model S and Model X, there's been multiple generations. I know there's been a lot of focus on hardware but a new generation of powertrain means that they're not going to be happy with the status quo, because Tesla could still have manufactured this type of drive unit for another decade and still probably been competitive with most of the OEMs in the world. So many of the OEMs that are trying to catch up or emulate what Tesla's doing, they're now just getting there.
Some important observations there from Corey. It's true, Tesla is now on their fourth generation drive unit. How about Tesla's competition? Well, given the fact that Tesla's so-called competition have been a little bit late to join the race, and by a little bit late, I mean extremely late, I think that they're probably around generation 1, maybe if you're lucky, generation 2. This is a problem. Tesla's just unveiled their fourth generation technology. Their so-called competition isn't even up to generation 2 or 3. Let's be honest, most of them are on generation 1. Tesla is an endless optimization machine. They are never satisfied. This isn't good enough. It needs to be better. It needs to be cheaper. It needs to be faster. It needs to be more efficient. It needs to weigh less. Let's figure it out. And that's exactly what they do.
And another thing from the presentation, 75% reduction in silicon carbide and roughly $1,000 cost for the drive unit. $1,000 cost. Now imagine you are a tier 1 supplier and you supply gearboxes, motors, inverters, and you're charging $2,000, $2,500, $3,500,
average.
for a unit. And now Tesla just said it's going to cost us $1,000. Now, when you walk into another OEM and try and sell your $2,000 unit, they're going to say, hey, how can Tesla make it for $1,000?
Now, I'm not sure if these were exact numbers or just estimates for the cost of a drive unit from a tier 1 supplier, but they've got to be in the ballpark. Just imagine, it's a good point. Imagine you're a supplier of drive units to automotive manufacturers who aren't particularly vertically integrated. It's a good point. The first question they're going to ask, if you're charging $2,500 for a drive unit, is what the fuck you're charging us more than 2.5 times what Tesla can make theirs for? Please explain. Of course, the explanation is, one, we've got to make a profit, and two, our engineers don't have brains as big as those in Tesla, so our shit's not as good and it costs more to make. What are you going to do about it? Of course, the answer is, well, we'll just make our own. But the problem is, you need big brain engineers to make something better than your tier 1 supplier and something that's on par with what Tesla's making. Problem is, Tesla's got the good engineers that you need, so good luck with that.
If we put this into context, I mentioned before that I worked with pretty much every car company on the planet. One of the guys that really impressed me was E.G. Toyota. And that was the grandfather of the guy that just got removed. And he said something that I wrote down, and I use it all the time. Our current success is the best reason to change. We have to be permanently dissatisfied in order to get better and better and keep ahead of the competition.
I guess Toyota's grandson didn't get the memo. After all, prior to being shit-canned recently, I must have made at least half a dozen videos roasting this moron for doing exactly the opposite of what Sandy is just describing. Toyota has been inhabiting the comfort zone for the last decade and a half. We just keep doing what we've been doing. It seems to be working okay. No need to worry about those electric vehicles. They're not a threat. You know, the really hilarious thing is that Toyota, back in 2007, actually partnered with Tesla. Tesla was making drivetrains for the electric RAV4. Toyota had a huge investment in Tesla, a huge stake. They sold it. RIP. But how dumb do you need to be to see what a company's doing, to recognize that a company other than you is better at making electric vehicle drive units than you, to pay them to partner to make these things to put in your electric RAV4s, and not to think, if someone's already doing this better than us, the whole Toyota philosophy of improvement and disrupting yourself, should we maybe try and make something better before they end up disrupting us? Nope, don't do that. Don't rock the boat. Just keep doing what we've been doing. They're going bankrupt. It's too late now. Toyota, grandson of the founder of the company, has recently been shit-canned, no longer the president/CEO, but it's too late. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, it's just embarrassing. The way that Toyota has been operating for at least the last decade and a half is the antithesis of the way the company was founded, what made it an incredible automotive manufacturer.
This is a good example of the old Toyota's approach to getting the job done. Permanent dissatisfaction. They're always looking to try and get better. And that brings us to the next one, which I was totally blown away at. This is a 4680 battery.
It's a dry process
Yeah.
to form the cathode and the anode.
Right.
They all have electrolyte.
Yeah, it has an electrolyte, but everybody else is using something that requires you to boil away a solvent that really isn't good for the environment. These guys have figured out how to compress it and put it together. Watching how they put it together, the difference between one basic unit that does all the spooling and whatnot versus a factory, a huge factory full of equipment with chemical reprocessing and everything else. It's mind blowing. The footprint alone between the two is like the difference between a football field and some kid playing hopscotch.
This is a brilliant analogy, and I know we're getting down in the engineering nerd weeds here, but it's really important, and one of the things that a lot of people seem to overlook or not really pay a lot of attention to. Factory size matters. If you can produce an equivalent or better product in a much smaller factory, you have incredible compounding effects in terms of resourcefulness and efficiencies. If the factory is smaller, let's think about this. Things need to move less distance within the factory, meaning it produces things faster. There's less wasted travel time. The factory itself is much quicker and cheaper to construct because there's less factory. I know, crazy idea. There's much less equipment required as well. In short, if you optimize your factory design and your process, in this case, for actually producing these battery cells, you save time, you save money, and you increase the output per second of your factory. It's a win-win-win-win-win.
That's the difference. We're looking at a huge amount of change to go to the new 4680.
Technology aside, why does it matter? You may be watching this like, who cares, Sandy? Who cares, Corey? This is why it matters. They're stamping those cans inside that plant. We walked by.
Right.
And they were actually stamping them as we were standing there.
Right.
They're rolling up the anode, they're rolling up the cathode inside that plant without a 100-yard oven.
Plus, upstairs, they've got the powders that they need.
Yep.
They grind everything up. They put it all together. They do the chemical formulation on the 4th floor that they say isn't there, but really is. And then that powder goes down into those machines, and they're cranking this stuff out. And I'm telling you what, we were watching them, and they spin pretty fast. I mean, this is really, really brilliant.
Back to my point. Sorry, Sandy. If you look at this Rivian cell, Rivian buys this cell. And if you buy it, that means you're paying a profit margin to that supplier. That supplier exists and makes profit. That's how companies exist. So if Tesla's making their own cell, where does that profit cost go? It's eliminated. It's passed on all the way up through the vehicle. So the more vertical integration you have, and the most expensive part of the car is the battery. So they just wiped out one of the largest pieces of profit loss by doing it themselves.
Right.
Then they also build the packs themselves.
Right.
Most people outsource pack assembly.
Right.
There's integrators that build packs. They're building the packs themselves. They're building the seats themselves. They're doing IPs themselves. And this is the advantage.
And the castings themselves and all the other things that everybody else. I mean, you talk to any Harvard guy, any Harvard MBA, and he'll tell you for sure, you got to outsource. You know what? That dance is dead. I don't know if anybody has got a brain, let me rephrase that. Anybody with a brain should be able to see the difference between, I'm doing this internally. I understand the technology cold. I understand and formulate my own chemistry. I make my cans, I know exactly how many I'm going to be able to make. I don't have to worry about trying to control the market or find out if a ship sunk and all my batteries happen to be in it.
Certainly a lot of reasons for vertically integrating everything you possibly can. Now, there are a few exceptions. Sometimes it doesn't quite make sense to vertically integrate a particular process. A good example would be chip fabrication. Tesla does need chips, so in theory, it would make sense for them to make their own chips, right? Well, there's just a slight problem. Beyond the multiple billions of dollars that need to be invested to get a chip fab plant up and running, it also takes years to actually build. But for the vast majority of components going inside a vehicle, it's insane not to be doing just about everything in-house. Everything you buy off somebody else includes a profit to the person who made the thing you're buying. That's how business works. Business is not charity, which means you lose potential profit or potential cost savings to the consumer, a lower price, because you're having to pay their profit as well. It's just like buying an apartment or a house brand new that's just been built. Developers don't build houses for free. They build them for a profit. When you buy one, part of the purchase price is their profit. This is why just about everybody who invests in real estate knows one of the dumbest things you can possibly do, unless there's extremely unusual circumstances, is to buy brand new. Because part of that purchase price isn't the intrinsic value of what you're buying, it's a profit margin of the developer who just built the thing. The same is true of these components and suppliers. Everything an automotive company is buying elsewhere is something they theoretically could have been producing cheaper in-house. So if there's a company, say like Tesla, who are vertically integrated to the hilt, doing almost everything themselves in-house at large scale, and you're a company trying to compete with Tesla, but you're not building this stuff in-house, you're buying it from third-party suppliers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. You cannot compete on price, which is exactly what we're seeing happen now. Tesla has such a huge pricing advantage that outside of China, there are no companies making any money selling electric vehicles today. They might be the same price point and similar performance to a Tesla, but Tesla's making 25+% gross automotive margins, and their so-called competition is losing money on every vehicle sold. It's a big problem, unless you're Tesla.
I've been criticized on a number of TV stations and whatnot. I can remember when McElroy, Sandy, didn't you know? I mean, really and truly, everybody was so sunk, dead positive that you had to outsource. And I kept asking what was the reason for that. Well, we can get it cheaper. Well, you can't. It's not possible. That's trickery that comes into your finance department. But here's the deal: if you can make them yourself, and you can control the process yourself, and you can basically come up with new formulation of what goes into this bath yourself, you're going to lead the parade. Everybody else that's going in this direction, you're buying chemistry from somebody that is giving you a lot of smoke. You're out of your mind. And seeing that dry process was a giant revelation. That to me was just phenomenal.
We can look back at this video in maybe 15, 25 years.
Well, Sandy Munro about to say, I won't be around then? I hope not.
We can look back at this video in maybe 15, 25 years. And the entire auto industry most likely will have shifted shifted to 48 volts.
I'll bet you it's faster than that. I'd say that if we
Well,
look
no,
at
this is
five
everyone else.
I'm telling you, I think it's going to happen a lot faster. All they need, we talked about the castings, those wherever the hell that thing is, for 10, 12, 14 years. Nobody went for it until Tesla did. These guys came out with this, this big casting here and talked about the other castings that are coming down. 2 years, like in basically 2 years, Hydra's got a shitload of new orders. I guarantee you, everybody on the planet, I can carry, I think right now, all the guys that do all the solenoids and all the 12 volt whatever stuff, they're sitting there going, ah! And they're going to make the switch. Because there's another thing you should know too. Let's look at these two. That would be the wire size for 48 volts. This is the wire size for 12 volts. I need more wire. It gets heavier. Every time you move to a slightly higher amount of voltage, that's what pushes the amperage through, you can get away with a smaller wire size. Think about it. Okay, now these wires are normally really tiny. I could never show you because they are tiny. Anytime that you can reduce the size of anything and reduce the weight of anything, you're going to get more range. The 48 volt system has been talked about since I joined Ford Motor Company in 1978. And nobody did anything about it. Oh, we can't get the suppliers to move on that.
Yeah, and the reason you get more range is not because you're not going to reduce the amperage and current needs of whatever you're doing. If you're steering the car, you're going to need the same amount of amperage. So if you jack the voltage up, the wire size drops, so the cost and the weight of the wires drop. So now here's how this actually makes a difference. If you can cut out 15 to 25 kilograms of copper out of the car, now the vehicle weighs less. So if the vehicle weighs less, it has a cascading effect. Now the amount of effort needed in that steering rack drops by maybe 0.5%. The whole vehicle benefits from it. Right. Now the vehicle's lighter, so you can get more range with slightly less batteries. Now you have slightly less batteries. So in order to truly make a next-gen vehicle that's low cost, you have to do everything the best way possible.
Right.
And Tesla decided that they're going to forego the entire supply base and said, we are developing automobiles the way they should be developed. We're not relying on the vestigial past of 12 volts. I think it's the biggest takeaway from the entire event.
So in case you're wondering, this is very important. During the Tesla Investor Day 2023 presentation, as I tweeted out during the event, Tesla basically, when referring to this change to 48 volt architecture, basically said that the industry will need to copy or they will perish. Why? Tesla is single-handedly forcing the EV industry to adopt this 48 volt architecture. Why? They've got volume. They dictate the terms. The same shit with charging standards. Tesla's built a charging network. Elon actually responded to this. Bus voltage raised from 12 volt to 48 volt drops copper usage by around 4 times. And this is what we're hearing from Munro and Associates here. The weight reduction is a cost reduction, is a range increase. It's a win-win-win. And remember, Sandy's pointing out he's been trying to get automotive manufacturers to adopt 48 volt architecture for decades, but they wouldn't because they were reliant on their suppliers and their suppliers didn't want to change. Because Tesla's vertically integrated, they're like, fuck the suppliers. We're just going to change to 48 volt architecture because we're doing it ourselves. The whole industry can copy or they're fucked. This is a very big deal.
When you drop the wire diameter by about a half to get to 48 volts, copper is one of the more expensive components and one of the more heavy components that are in vehicles. That's why a lot of people will swap high power from copper to aluminum. Aluminum conducts as well, but not as well, and not as good, but it weighs a whole lot less and it costs a lot less as well. So moving to the 48 volt system is going to put every component supplier on notice.
Exactly. Back to the tweet, copy or perish. And
I'm telling you, right now, I believe that there's got to be every boardroom at every tier 3, those are tier 3 kind of guys, tier 3, in some cases tier 4 suppliers, they're going to be in a panic attack.
So, words matter, and those words, well, they matter. Panic attack. He didn't say a little bit concerned. He didn't say surprised. He didn't say worried. He said they're having a panic attack, which I tend to agree with. Or in my own style, I would probably say they're currently shitting the bed.
How are we going to get to 48 volts? They probably looked at it, but they probably never thought they'd ever have to do anything because, in essence, engineers aren't allowed to design for 48 volts, and purchasing agents were going to say, I can get a cheaper one if it's a 12 volt. And that's kind of like the way it works, unfortunately, in the auto industry. I believe that the Mexican plant is a genius move because the labor rates are lower. Actually, we've done studies that found that in some places, in some situations, Mexico is cheaper than China. Why go to China if you can get to Mexico? If they're going to make that $24,000 car, like they said they were going to, then I believe that Mexico's the right facility, and this new facility, I believe, is going to have the new vehicle in it, and it'll have all these changes that we've been talking about, and probably a whole lot more.
On this point, I definitely agree with Sandy. It seems inevitable that the Mexico factory will be producing Tesla's next-gen vehicle. Important point there, some of the labor costs potentially in Mexico even cheaper than China. For those who don't know, Tesla's China-made vehicles are far and away the company's most profitable, mainly due to the lower labor costs. I kind of feel like going on a tangent about the effect Tesla's humanoid robots eventually going to have, but let's not go there in this video. It's getting long enough as it is.
And the long-term nature of the presentation really struck me. I said this on stage, I feel like Tesla no longer has an imposter syndrome. I feel like for the first 3 to 5 years of their existence, they were just trying to show the world, I say 3 to 10 years of their existence, they were trying to show the world that they can do it, particularly when they were trying to produce the Model 3. I think they pushed them out to the market a little early when they had the fit and finish issues.
Yeah.
But now they're kind of hitting their stride.
Yeah.
1.3 million vehicles last year, on pace for probably 2 million this year. Developing a whole new architecture will allow them to hit all sorts of new markets, particularly the low end. They could have just said, hey, we're going to go after large SUVs next, which would be a highly profitable endeavor, but they're focused on the world, because if they're building in Mexico, I believe that plant is going to produce for other regions. If you can produce that low-cost car and sell in South America or Mexico itself.
Well, I look at it this way: the plant's going to be the same size as the existing plant that they've got in Texas. If it's the same size and you're making a smaller vehicle, it'll have less options and it'll have less parts. Guess what? It's going to be
a couple million.
Yeah,
right?
I'm thinking 2.5, maybe even 3 million out of that plant.
He ain't wrong. Someone should probably pass this memo on to Moron Stanley, who still, for some strange reason, don't think any of Tesla's factories will ever be producing more than about 1 million vehicles per year. I'm not sure why they would think this. I mean, we've already seen plans going back years for Berlin. Stage 1's 500,000. There's 4 stages in total. Do the math, that's already 2+ million. Austin's even bigger than Berlin. Do the math, that's probably 2+ million. Obviously, this new factory, if it's a similar size to Austin and much more efficient, it's going to be in the millions as well.
People are going to, oh, you can't make it. Yeah, you can't make a 3 million out of a plant. But you know what? You can't make anything out of 48 volts. I heard that too. And you know what? Oh, you can't make, these batteries can never be made. Every time somebody opens their mouth and says, that can't happen, Elon shows up with, oh, here, you want to look at that? Well, you know, I don't think that's going to work. And it's always the same. You want to be a naysayer? Go ahead. Go and be a Hindenburg. I don't give a rat's ass. At the end of the day, eventually you're always going to lose. Always. Because, especially if you're betting against Elon Musk. Don't do it. Don't bet against Elon Musk.
Wise words of caution from Sandy Munro. There's a reason my Don't Bet Against Elon merch is far and away the best-selling piece of merch in the merch store, and it's no contest. Many thousands of units sold. I think a lot of people agree with the message, but I'll take it a step further. 1, don't bet against Elon. I mean, that's a good starting place. But 2, heed Elon's warnings. For example, years ago, when Elon Musk was suggesting that using pouch cells was idiotic, people probably should have listened. You know what happened instead? GM announces their incredible, industry-leading Ultium battery platform featuring pouch cells. And you know what GM did maybe a month ago? Oops, we changed our mind. We don't want these pouch cells. We're switching to the 4680 cell form factor invented by Tesla and unveiled at Battery Day 2020. You did it, Mary. You didn't heed Elon's warnings and have now made an embarrassing about face years later. So 1, don't bet against Elon. 2, heed Elon's warnings. And 3, just copy everything Tesla does, at least if you'd like to stay in business. Or alternatively, just wave the white flag and give up now before you inevitably go bankrupt anyway. Now, as you guys will know, Munro & Associates are automotive industry, in particular, manufacturing experts. And the key takeaways, the things that have impressed them so much, is Tesla's never-ending optimization. Tesla is always finding new ways to get more out of less, to be more resourceful, more bang for buck. This is why they vertically integrate, This is why they develop their own technologies in-house when the industry standard is not good enough. Tesla optimizes their vehicles, their business structure, everything. And this is how they now have an unassailable lead with compelling technology that no other company on earth can produce for even close to the same cost. It's already game over. There's a lesson here. A company that optimizes the most, that is able to make the most out of the least, the most resourceful, the most energy efficient, the smartest, the most intelligent. When it comes to manufacturing products, in particular electric vehicles at scale, the key to success is continual optimization to make the most out of the least. It's called being resourceful. Tesla does this better than any other company on the planet, and it is no contest. This is the secret to their success. Continual optimization. And continual optimization is an intelligent strategy, whether you're a business or a person. You see where I'm going with this? Far and away, the single most important optimization I've implemented in my own personal life is taking Athletic Greens AG1 once a day, every day. I've been doing so now for the last 2 years. And the results speak for themselves. Much like Tesla, deleting parts and processes, driving their costs down, getting more out of less. The same is true with this guy. Go check out the average length of video I was posting on YouTube about 3 years ago. Spoiler alert, maybe 13 minutes if you're lucky. Today, the length has doubled. How did that happen? Spoiler alert, I got more efficient. I'm doing more with less. I have more energy. I can think more clearly. I can plan more clearly. I'm getting more out of less. This is a perfect example of optimization. I've also deleted parts and processes from my video editing procedure. I'm sure most people watching will understand the analogy here. Tesla optimizes the absolute out of everything so they can get best results. I also do the same with my health. This is no joke. There is a reason I'm not a fat mother. There's also a reason I don't drink alcohol. It's because I realize there is benefit in optimizing, especially your health. Having enough energy and vitality is the foundation of living a fulfilling life. If you wake up in the morning, you're just struggling to get by, good luck doing anything other than staying in a rut and staying in your routine. If, however, you wake up in the morning, you feel great and you have an abundance of energy, you're going to want to use that. You'll find productive ways to use that energy. Like in my case, producing more content. I take Athletic Greens every day, once in the morning, and I've never felt better. Athletic Greens AG1 is a brilliant way to fill in nutritional gaps with 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus adaptogens, prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes. Now, I'd just like to address some of the skeptics in the room. But Stephen, if you just eat a balanced diet, you could get everything you need. I hear these comments sometimes. While well-meaning, they're ill-informed. Don't get me wrong. If you just want to survive, eat a balanced diet, probably good enough. But if you want to optimize and maximize your performance, your energy, your vitality, you will not get what you need eating a balanced diet, period. These are the facts. You can delude yourself into thinking that if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're not missing out on anything. I would suggest you're probably like the clowns at GM sitting in a boardroom thinking Tesla's not a threat. Oh, we don't need to do any more. We're going to be fine, bro. We're GM. Everything's fine. Don't want to rain on your parade. But failure to accept the fact that there are nutritional gaps in everyone's diet. You need vitamins, you need minerals, you need a healthy gut, and you should be doing everything you can to optimize your health. Look after your sleep, look after your diet, remove stresses, do whatever you can, and take Athletic Greens AG1 every day like I do. I know there's still a lot of people watching, they've seen a lot of promos for AG1, they still remain skeptical. I wouldn't be surprised if Sandy Munro felt exactly the way that I do, doing his best to explain to automotive manufacturers, hey guys, you know you could do a gigantic casting and save a lot of parts and processes, be more efficient, it'd be better. Of course, the response from them was, you don't know what you're talking about, Sandy, okay? Just shut the fuck up, okay? You have no value to add. Your idea is dumb. We're doing everything exactly the way it should be done. We don't need anything extra. We don't need any ideas, okay? No more optimization. As I've said in the past, you can lead a horse to water. Can't make it drink. Tesla's been drinking a lot, as have I. I am quite curious. Please let me know in the comments below. If there's anyone watching, you think, come on, I don't need this stuff. Everything's fine. Just answer me this, riddle me this. Do you believe your system is operating as well as it could? Perfectly optimized, you have all the energy, you don't have any nutritional gaps, your digestion's perfect, you're regular as clockwork, you're as healthy, vital, and energetic as you possibly could be? Or are you instead just so skeptical that you don't believe there's anything here? Despite the 90-day money-back guarantee, the endless testimonials from people, viewers of this channel, who've taken Athletic Greens AG1 and left comments, man, I feel better, more energy, etc. Do you believe it's all bunk? There's nothing here whatsoever. It's just a scam. I'd really like to know the answer to this question. My goal with this channel is not to make friends. It's just to make a positive impact. And this is one of the biggest hacks. As I said, can lead a horse to water, but it's up to you as to whether or not you drink. But I implore you, try Athletic Greens AG1. Optimize your system like Tesla optimizes everything within their business, their technology, and their manufacturing systems. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to you. The biggest risk of all, in my opinion, is doing nothing. Unless you're okay going the way of GM, Toyota, Ford, and many other legacy automotive manufacturers who won't be in business by the end of this decade because they were outcompeted, outsmarted, and out-executed by a company that optimizes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you head to athleticgreens.com/SMR, you get a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2, and you can begin optimizing your health. It's so simple. Once a day, every day, in the morning. It's that easy. If you're anything like me and 99% of the people who've tried Athletic Greens AG1, you'll be feeling and performing your best in no time. Now, in fairness, if you're somebody that doesn't really give a shit, you don't care about your health, you don't care about your low energy, you're not trying to maximize your performance, you're fine just getting by, this is not for you. Athletic Greens AG1 is only for people who really want to get the most out of life, to feel and perform their best, to optimize everything, just like Tesla. So if you want to take a leaf out of Tesla's book and optimize your own system as much as possible, Athletic Greens AG1 is an absolute no-brainer. Head to athleticgreens.com/SMR or use the link in the pinned comment. If you prefer to take the path of GM, Toyota, etc., that's fine as well. I won't judge you, but I will warn you, it's probably not going to end well. Here's what happens when people like you try Athletic Greens AG1. After taking AG1 for about 45 days, I honestly can't remember feeling this well, both physically and mentally, ever. I'm working out, my mind is sharper, I feel less anxious, I'm more motivated to drive my business, to start other businesses, etc. Thanks for promoting this. And I mean, bruh, couldn't have said it better myself. Again, videos I was posting 3 years ago, half the length of today. Why? I got more energy, I got more motivation, got more ambition, more drive, I can get more out of the day, and I'm doing exactly that. Another one. I've been drinking AG1 since early January and my fatigue has dramatically decreased and my energy. But possibly more importantly, my motivation has increased. I'm so much more productive. Once again, sounds like a familiar story. Exactly the same thing has happened to me. I'm on month 3 with AG1 and it's really working for me. So impressed, I've bought it for both my parents now. It's worth considering why somebody has left feedback saying they're feeling so great they're now putting their parents on this stuff as well. Another one. Been taking AG1 daily and realized I fall asleep faster and better, feel more focused and have better digestion. Must be a coincidence, right? These testimonials, these are just anomalies, right? It's placebo effect, right? Surely this green drink couldn't be that good. And another. Been taking AG1 for just over 2 weeks now. Incredible difference and no more afternoon fatigue. Notice a recurring theme relating to energy, fatigue. It's almost as if Athletic Greens AG1 will positively affect your energy and vitality, and therefore your productivity. One more. Thanks for all the AG1 pumps. Seriously, I finally bought it about a month ago and have been taking it every morning since. And I cannot stress enough how amazing I feel. I'm sure it's probably nothing. It's fake news, just ignore that. And one more. Completely agree with the feedback others left on AG1. Been taking it just over a month. Feel amazing. I'm working out harder. Feel less mind fog. Feel sharper. And it's also helping with my afternoon drop off in energy. Keep pumping it. I have friends and family now looking to try it as well. So try it. What's the worst that could happen? You start feeling and performing better, you got more energy, and you struggle to find ways to use that energy and just end up playing video games all day because you feel so fucking good. I know this is a very long drawn out promo, and the fact that you're still watching this gives me an indication that maybe either you're so lazy you don't want to press end video, or you're actually considering. Please, just try, okay? I'm trying to help you. Look at the testimonials, okay? This stuff really works. You'll feel better. And if you don't, you get your money back. That's what the 90-day money back guarantee is for. You've got nothing to lose. So head to athleticgreens.com/SMR or use the link at the pinned comment and leave me a comment in a few weeks telling me how you're feeling. I already know what the answer will be, but I'd still like to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. See what I did there? Because horse and leading to water and drink. I'm out of here. See you tomorrow.